Thank you for joining me on the Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, AZ. I find the research and resources and then provide the fire service with the so what, now what, to ensure the health and well-being of every member of our profession. Together, let's thrive. Hey, it's AZ with episode 208 of the Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast, and you're going to hear again today from my friend Manny Romero, who is embedded with Seattle Fire. Manny was on just a couple weeks ago talking about recruit school, and today we dive into what he is attempting to accomplish among the incumbents at Seattle Fire. As always, please give us a rating, please give us a review. The important information is in the show notes. Have a great day. AZ is out. Manny Romero, good morning. How are you today, my friend?
Good morning, Annette. I'm doing good.
Listeners, first of all, if you didn't hear the first episode, I'm just going to tell you, press pause on this one. Go back and listen to the first episode. I'll link it in the show notes. Manny talked about his recruit school, training programs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we had a little conversation off camera regarding, was there anything that you wanted to say that you didn't get to say? And the conclusion was no, but is the conclusion still no?
I think for everything we wanted to talk about that first episode, we can probably not necessarily need to revisit any of that, but we can definitely open up and highlight some other things that we've trying to accomplish at Seattle Fire to address health and wellness.
Yeah, let's do it. Just as a quick recap, you've been there how long? And you work in what capacity? Tell us all those things in case people just don't want to go back and listen to the first episode.
Yeah, been with Seattle Fire for a little more than 3 years now. My role there is the health and fitness coordinator. So a lot of my time is overseeing some of our prep courses or programs that help candidates in the hiring pipeline get prepared for recruit training. And then trying to pretty much devise some strategies that address health and wellness and fitness for operations members as well.
Yay, amazing. Remind us how many operational personnel you have.
Yeah, Seattle Fire, we're the largest department in the Pacific Northwest. We're close to about 1,000 firefighters. We're spread out across 33 stations, and we run a 4-platoon system with the Seattle schedule. So that's 1 on, 2 off, 1 on, 4 off.
Is that a relatively new schedule, Manny? I've heard a little bit about it recently, but maybe it's been around forever. Do you know?
I don't know when exactly it started, but it's been around Seattle for quite some time. It kind of, I guess for me, joining Seattle Fire, I just felt like it was always the thing that they did. So can't really say when exactly that started, but it's been there for quite some time.
Okay, so repeat it for me. 1 on, 2 off.
1 on, 4 off.
1 on.
So every 8 days, there's pretty much 2 work days.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, so let's dig into, start telling me all the things about maybe some initiatives that you're trying to run with. You can tell me about, are you utilizing peer trainers? Tell me all of the things. The mic is yours. I will not interrupt until it's time.
All right. Well, 3 things that come to mind. 2 are things that we've done in the past. One is a program we're trying to get off the ground now. And so maybe there's some benefit into just exploring what are we doing to get it off the ground aspect of it. The 2 things we've done in the past, I partnered with one of our health and safety chiefs on just addressing how to properly decon while you're at scene of a fire. And then I partnered with a separate chief on just updating our nutrition and hydration protocols, if you want to call it that, when they are on scene for a full response or something a little bit longer, hazmat response. So that way the members on scene have access to high quality snacks, high quality, electrolyte solution, and they can get back on the on their rigs, kind of fueled up and hydrated up and ready to go for the next call.
Those will sound fantastic. Can we dig further into each one? First of all, did I hear you say you partnered with one of your health and safety chiefs? You have multiple?
Oh, yeah, that's something I think is unique to Seattle Fire. Not sure exactly what the proper term or what you would call it, but essentially we have more than one health and safety chief because there's always one on duty. So we have four health and safety chiefs, and they're all on a specific shift, right? So we have an A, B, C, D shift chief that would be on duty at a specific time.
I love it. Is there someone are they a direct report to someone like a overarching health and safety person, or how does that sort of chain of command work?
Chain of command for them would be they would report to our assistant chief of resource management. That specific individual is on the executive leadership level, and they oversee other divisions like training division, fire alarm center, health and safety, and we have a commissary where a lot of our repairs on like tools and equipment happen, and purchasing and procurement of equipment and gear. So those are several things that fall under that umbrella.
Manny, that's wild, and I love it. A health and safety chief assigned to every shift that works the same shift as the firefighters. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, and they would essentially would respond to every full alarm for sure, and anything above that, and then other type of maybe specialties calls that would require a health and safety chief to be on site. I guess one that comes to mind is like a water rescue.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, I derailed this, but I'm bringing us back. You partnered
That's
with one
okay.
of those health and safety chiefs to create a proper decon protocol. Do you want to dig into that a little bit?
Yeah, so I want to give credit to Chief Brian Mayer, who's the individual who really did a lot of the legwork on this. What I supported with is just kind of coming up with the concept of how we're going to deliver the information, or I should say, we collaborated on that aspect, and then just maybe fine tuning some details. So I guess to start from the top, we know that firefighters have a very short attention span.
No, Manny.
So we knew
Silly.
that we wanted to administer some of this information through like department trainings, like using, what's the word? What's it called? Annette? It's not
Target
coming to me.
solutions?
Target solutions. Yep. So we wanted to use that, and we just knew that if we're going to have this 20, 30-minute clip or education seminar, none of that information is really going to stick, or some of it's not going to stick. So we wanted to strategically do this around a safety stand down, which we did in June or July of 2024. We created about 8 videos, each with a specific topic, and all of which were like at most 5 minutes. So we highlighted what they needed to do on scene, which is doing a gross decon with Dawn dish soap, water, scrub brush, getting from helmet to boot, getting all the contaminants that we possibly can off with that first wash. After that, they would proceed to a bagging of their gear. They put that in a black trash bag. Those are on the rigs now, as well as we just supplied rigs with the Dawn dish soap and the scrub brush and bucket. So they would head to the decon line, do all that, bag their gear, put it into the cab. They'd head back to stations, and then we had another series of videos of what you would do when you're at station. So how to properly wash gloves, how to properly wash your hood, your helmet. Your helmet decon needs to use like a oil degreaser, Dawn dish soap as well. Really fully scrub everything, get into all the nooks and crannies. And then how to properly wash your liners and coat or pants using our extractors. I think we found that in the process that just washing those PPEs in the extractors one time only knocked off about like 33% of the contaminants. So they're going to want to do that about 3 times. And in some cases where like heavy soil or heavy heavy contaminants are like, on the gear and everything, they're probably going to want to soak the gear a little bit before, and then they would, decon it and wash everything.
So many questions, Manny. First question, you
Yeah.
said washing it one time was only getting off about a third of the yuck. How did you guys determine that? Did you do some sort of testing?
No testing in-house, but I think some of the information either came from the manufacturer themselves, or not the manufacturer, like the extractor,
Oh, okay.
I guess, company. And then I think a lot of this information came from a study that was done with University of Arizona and Tucson Fire.
Okay.
I believe it was delivered in like a presentations format, so maybe a conference. Uh, so I don't really have anything that I can refer to right now, but I can ask our chief and maybe provide that.
No, that's cool. Random thought. Have you seen that crazy Instagram account? His name is Dr. Pickle, and he's like a cartoon character, and he's foul. Have you seen that?
No, actually, I have not.
Okay, it's hilarious. It's stuff like, "What's wrong with your effing bicep, you weenie, whatever." It's hilarious, and I wonder if that would be a great way to educate firefighters with Dr. Pickle type videos.
Yeah, we did look. We did consider like the whole like TikTok format and doing dancing and whatnot. We just ultimately determined that I think between me and that chief, not really in our
It
wheelhouse
wasn't your
of
wheelhouse.
skills, or not really our personality. But I also want to highlight, I guess, while the thoughts in my head is that it's also coming from I think so. Some of this information hit home and kind of initially did what we intended it to do, which was um, kind of get people aware of how they should be deconning, and then influencing the culture of like actually doing all these things after a specific fire scene. Some of that comes from just how we deliver the information, because it's like, just tell me what I need to know and tell me what to do. And then also, I think it just came from the right individual with a voice that people listen to. So I want to just highlight those two things, I think, that made the initial impact. Fast forward a few years now, or some time after that initial training has gone out, we're not at the level of deconning that I'd want us to be at. Um, but the information's out there, and now it's kind of like balls in your court for the firefighter to just do the decon. Um, and so, what the limiting
Do the
factors are,
decon.
we're gonna have to figure out. But some of this, I think, ultimately is just the behavior change piece that uh, the individual themselves need to just do.
I hear you. I have two additional questions. I've recently, I guess within the last couple of years, learned about an ultrasonic helmet cleaner, as well as I just learned at Science to the Station about, it sounds wacky, but cleaning your gear with, it's like a CO2, a carbon dioxide system. Have you heard of either of those? And has Seattle Fire considered either one of those?
Yeah, and I think some of our like services team, there might be a committee that like looks into some gears like that. Um, I think they have been looking into that. I believe we got this new extractor that is located at our services division. So that might be what that is. I just haven't had the time to really look into that because that kind of happened more recently. Um, but most of that information is not something I'm really up to speed on, but I've loosely heard that. I just haven't gone down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I had never heard about this, the carbon dioxide gear. I guess it's kind of like dry cleaning in that it's kind of a bad comparison, but in that it's very good at extracting the greasy oilies that don't get so well extracted with like water-based cleaning. So I think that's maybe something new on the horizon. Also heard it is incredibly cost prohibitive. So
Yeah, and I think I've heard that as well, or maybe I saw that in a pamphlet, was just the cost
yeah.
is up there. And so, wanting to, I would imagine any department wanting to get something like that and put it into every station at their department would be the big challenge.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, anything else about the decon protocol before we dig into your nutrition and hydration protocols?
Nope, not right now, but I'm sure something will pop up. And if it does, we'll just edit this and throw
heavy
that back in there.
heavy editing. Inserting is way harder than deleting, as it turns out, just so you know.
So like this is going back to some of the videos that we also wanted to highlight was, I mentioned the firefighter gloves, but also like the face piece. Um, the SCBA, how to properly wash all that. And then we also highlighted gear storage. So like, you go to your locker and you're not trying to cross contaminate your bunker coat with your just station jacket or just your normal jacket, right? So I guess little things like that is what we try to highlight as well.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't even think about those things. What I didn't think about was the fact that the locker I chose was directly below a window. And so I got a ton of, I guess you'd call it sun damage on my bunker gear that was unnecessary. So, yeah, things we don't even think about until someone points it out. Amazing. Okay, so you partnered with someone else for the nutrition and hydration protocols. Was it a different health and safety chief?
Not a health and safety chief. In fact, it was a newly promoted battalion chief. During that probationary time frame, they typically work on a project that's assigned by the operations chief. And this project that the individual wanted to take on was wanting to fill the gap of we had this group, I believe they're called fire buffs, that kind of moved on from Seattle Fire, and what they initially did was provide snacks at full responses or anything higher. The thing is, they were bringing stuff like animal crackers, Oreos, chips, Gatorade, coffee, sodas, um, and so as that went away, our assistant chief of operations, again, another individual who's on the executive leadership board or level, just saw that there was a need. And, if we can address it, let's also go a route of being healthy about it, or something that's going to sustain not just the health side, but the ability to perform. And so, obviously that was something I'm intrigued about. So I managed to partner with a good chief that, wanted to just figure out the logistics and how we're going to deliver items. I did the legwork on like what items we're going to select, and then we both kind of put our minds together on how are these things going to be delivered, when they're going to be delivered, and I would say this, and also the decon stuff was a hit. Probably the nutrition stuff being more so of a hit, but yeah.
Tell me, you said, I think I just heard you say probationary period for a chief. Does everyone that gets promoted have a probationary period?
Yeah, and I guess I can't speak to the details of what that looks like, but there's I guess a window where I guess there's just some benchmarks that got to be met.
So they could actually say, this is not working out the way we hoped, and go away.
I haven't seen that happen, but that could, I guess, potentially play out, and could also play out where the individual themselves decide they don't want to take the promotion after they've kind of walked down the road a little bit.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's actually kind of a good opportunity. Amazing. Tell me, please, Manny, what did you put in the nutrition and hydration protocols, or what are the products? What are you giving them?
Yeah, let me start by saying we supplied every battalion chief rig. So we have 7 chiefs on duty at all times with a package. And the package itself has 2 coolers, 3 like kind of, I don't know, 4x4 storage bins, maybe they're a little bit bigger. Um, and the bins themselves, they have snacks and little details like gloves, hand sanitizer, sunscreen. I'll maybe dive into that here in a sec. Um, we have a folding table, so that way it can be set up for folks to easily kind of gather around. And then there's like a hand truck that you can move all these items that are kind of heavy from point A to point B. So I guess protocol wise, a couple of details to highlight is, when the chief shows up to a scene, they're not going to be the individuals that set this up, and the expectation is not that. It's just on their rig. So I believe we determined the 3rd or 4th in driver would be the individual who would set up their decon line. So they get the bucket, the water hose, the scrub brush, all that stuff ready to go. And then they would go over to the chiefs, the incident commander, their rig, get all these items off, and then establish a location for nutrition and hydration. So the other protocol that or um, bullet item that we highlighted was don't set this up right next to the incident commander. They got enough going on. They don't need this like, large gathering of individuals. So they would set that up off to the side. Folding table gets set up. Um, Pre-mix a few electrolyte drinks with water bottles. Because that's what is in the ice chest, by the way. Just ice chilled water bottles. One of the bins has the snacks that they can just lay it on the table. Another bin has drip drop is what we're using for the electrolyte solution. Or
Okay,
if
cool.
there's another product that we would use, that would be in that bin. They would just lay that out. And then one of the things that we just found in the process was sometimes if we're responding to a scene during the summer, sunscreen would be handy to have. Hand sanitizer, just because some of the things you might be touching on scene, and then obviously gloves because we could be talking about individuals who are coming out of a fire, wanting to refuel and rehydrate. So we want to make sure they're not using dirty hands to grab food items. For food items, we grab things like applesauce, beef sticks, fig bars. We're big. We ended up being a big fan of Bobo products, so we use their oat bites. Those are very those are fan favorites, and we kind of rotate through similar concept products. We found that providing things like pretzels or crackers probably didn't pan out very well because when you do intense work and you're kind of somewhat dehydrated, you're not going to want something that is kind of chalky or just like is going to pretty much absorb all the moisture in your mouth. If anything, they wanted to gravitate towards things like baby food, right? So it was the applesauce is obviously a big hit. Everybody loves the beef sticks because of the protein you get from that and the saltiness you get from that. And then there's we stocked the rigs with pretty much enough items for everybody to get at least like 3 snacks and maybe like 2 to 3 bottles of water with drip drop if they wanted to do that. And it's kind of just up to the member and how much they want to use and I guess take in.
I'm assuming there's someone logistically that goes around and restocks these. How does that work, Manny?
Oh yeah, great point. So that was one of the things we also had to think about, right? So um, the battalion chiefs themselves are responsible for just making sure that the inventory is up to stock. Um, what we did was supply the rig themselves with enough product for 1 full response, and then at the station there's enough product for an additional two full responses. It doesn't always pan out where you just like you use everything at one and then you just kind of take the second one. So they just kind of loosely resupply, and it lasts a little bit longer than we thought it would last. And then beyond that, they can coordinate with our services division, who has a small, somewhat of an inventory of all these products at their warehouse, and then we can just we have our own internal mail run system, which is pretty unique, that can send out that product to that battalion headquarters.
Costco loves Seattle Fire.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you knew that, but yeah, Costco is kind of our main supplier. Surprisingly, was more cost effective than just doing bulk buys directly from the supply.
Really? Oh man, I was just guessing that they sound like all Costco products. They also sound very Rescue RD-ish. Like these are the products Megan talks about. I love that.
She may
Cool.
have influenced some of these decisions.
Rescue RD influenced Manny. So cool. Now, those were both amazing programs, and I want to hear now about your new program. The suspense is killing me. Please proceed.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't highlight that earlier. But new program would just be, we're calling it the Seattle Fire Strength Conditioning Program. So we're taking Pure Fitness and just kind of updating it. We chose to move away from Pure Fitness, at least from terminology sake, just because it's had a history of ups and downs with Seattle Fire, and maybe had a bit of a negative connotation because of that. We didn't want members to just hear Pure Fitness and roll their eyes immediately just by the sheer sound of that program. So we're also calling it strength and conditioning because we'll probably be a little more like strategic in how we want to do things, and just addressing, I guess, the fitness side for membership. Where to start? So the program isn't essentially like up and running just yet, but we spent the past year just kind of laying the foundation and the groundwork. Most of that time was consumed by just getting members trained. So what I wanted our, well, I guess let me back up more and say we first started by issuing a department memo saying, I want to establish this cadre of health and fitness individuals, active firefighters, preferably with individuals with a background in exercise science, or maybe some, whether it's a degree or just working experience as a like fitness professional or strength coach. And so with that, we netted about 10 individuals that we were able to put into a NSCA course that we hosted, and that was for the TSAC course that NSCA offers. The intent behind that was to, get them on the same page of how we want to pretty much like coach exercise, and then also all the principles that go into like the TSAC certification. The TSAC certification is what I wanted individuals to have, nationally accredited, and I felt it was most applicable to just the body of work we wanted to address. So they went through the course. They were given an X amount of time to pretty much get their certification, and so now that we're moving on from kind of like that first segment, we got into just like some quarterly meetings where we're doing just more strategic planning and laying out groundwork. First meeting was heavy on just like being aware of, I guess like not necessarily policies, but like everything that's in NFPA and everything that's in the Wellness Fitness Initiative that talks about like how a department should address health and fitness. Some things we can use as like ammunition or have a little teeth when we're talking to leadership on like, hey, we need to do this because it's in NFPA. And other things are more of a guideline that we can just kind of take and adapt that would fit best for Seattle Fire. So we're kind of still like in that phase of just being aware of all that information and then trying to figure out what's going to work for Seattle Fire specifically. Our last meeting, we came up with 3 months worth of fitness challenges that we're going to roll out at stations. Let me backtrack. One of the areas of work that I think these coaches can do for us is to be a subject matter expert at their stations. I think it's probably a challenge and a stretch to say they're going to be for the department, because there's some logistic challenges that come with that. Are they going to travel to another station to do work? Overtime that goes into that. What happens when work needs to be done off shift when it's a day off for them, but it's on shift for someone else? Do we take do we take a rig out of service for work to happen? So ultimately, I want them to address culture and creating a smart culture for smart physical fitness training principles, and just being physically active and having that at the forefront of their list of priorities. So I think the best way to kind of address that is just by having them focus on their station, where they probably already have a good rapport with everybody on their crews. They're probably somebody that a lot of folks can easily feel comfortable to just say, hey, I need a little help with this. And it's kind of like setting up the passing in the hallway type scenario, right? Where it's easy to just kind of come cross paths with the individual and like say, hey, can you help me with this? Because if a firefighter needs to take that extra step or two, it's probably not going to happen. Case in point, when we rolled out our nutrition hydration package, we provided some education on using the drip drop solution and that they had to pour 1 stick into a bottle of water. Because folks were just so gassed and fatigued coming out of a fire at certain times, and even the folks that weren't, they just didn't feel like they just wanted to crack a bottle open and drink it. So while we had the fourth in driver set up a table and pre-mix a few electrolyte solutions, that's the concept. That's the context behind that why. All right, so shifting gears, going back to the fitness side, I guess I lost my train of thought. We'll cut all this out, but I'm sure you got a follow-up question for me.
No, we're not cutting it out. My question, Manny, is that so you have 10 peer fitness trainers, you have 4 shifts and 33 stations. So in my brain, in order for each station to have their subject matter expert, you need like 120 of these folks. Are you looking to expand that, or how are you using them as force multipliers?
Yeah, I'm not sure we'll get to that level, but that's something that is on our mind, but we'll just figure out how to do that. So yeah, I guess going back to them being a subject matter expert at their station, that is also part of the umbrella of them just being a force multiplier, where they can influence culture, influence just kind of how things are done at their stations. Um, we actually technically have 13 individuals in the cadre. We are still waiting for some folks to get their certification, and if they don't by the end of the year, then we're going to have to just work with the ones that we do have certified. The number we have certified right now is 7, maybe 8. Sorry. Actually, a few already have a CSCS as well, so we didn't necessarily need them to get a TSAC. Right now, we're kind of just slow rolling it and having them just focus on their station, but obviously there is the question of what do we do for the stations that don't have one? I think that's where maybe my position comes in, where I can go and, help out where I can. Obviously I'm not going to be there every shift and every waking moment. But this also maybe adds a little ammunition to just one initiative of mine, which is to hire some staff that is full-time civilian, like strength coach, where those individuals would fill in that gap, because that would be a big area, a big body of work for them to focus on. Is just rolling out to stations, providing some workshops, seminars, maybe influencing fitness programs that are done as a crew. And so I think that could potentially be the next level, because I don't see that it's going to be very sustainable to have, more than 100 coaches that are firefighters doing this level of work.
Absolutely. And the bigger, it would be tremendously expensive to keep them all certified.
Yeah, and so let's slowly dive into that a little bit. One of the perks, I guess I'll highlight some of the perks that we have already. Each coach that we have, obviously, we're going to cover the cost for them to get their certification, and any study materials that go into that. They also get a $500 like annual CEU reimbursement fund. So continuing education is also another big element of this. We do have some overtime opportunities that have to do with our new hire programs that we talked about the last episode. There was a component where individuals get paired with a fitness coach or a firefighter coach for the program, and that firefighter coach is somebody with a TSAC certification. So they can highlight what they need to do from a physical preparation standpoint, and then they can also highlight this is what you're getting into as a career field of being a firefighter and an EMT or a paramedic. These are some things to expect. This is all the good, this is all the bad that you should think about that you probably aren't aware about. And then trying to get like a reoccurring slush fund to essentially bring individuals to the TSAC conference. So that way we can, have them kind of learn from all the professionals in the field, maybe get a little energy behind ideas that we can accomplish as a cadre, or projects that they want to maybe come up with. I don't know if that's making it grassroots, but maybe that kind of does help out with that. And then when we come back from the conference, hopefully that kind of, just kind of keeps some momentum going. I'll pause there. You look like you have a few questions.
I just have a statement. In fact, Manny sent several of your female firefighters to the Women's Technical Human Performance Summit last year, which is great. So the live or virtual option of the Women's Technical Summit is going to be approved for NSCA CEUs. So that could, get some of your CEUs for your already certified TSAC professionals. You're welcome.
That would
I'm
be
helping.
Nice. You are.
One of because I've given these seminars, these TSAC practitioner courses, and what I see a lot of times is departments are like, yes, okay, this is a solution. I'm sending 10 people. And then ultimately 5 people take the exam and 2 people pass and everyone's pissed. How did you set your administration up? How did you set the expectation management such that everyone's not going to be pissed?
I'm not sure that I really addressed that.
It sounds like the large majority of your people are passing, though.
Yeah, yeah, they are, and I think part of that was because they took the course. I provided the a textbook for them and just made myself available if they had questions for studying. We gave them practice quizzes. Really just said, if, whatever support you need to pass, like I'm here to help. I think our bigger challenge more so is just getting people to go and take the exam. The few individuals that haven't, I think just a few life events just got in the way that are obviously unpredictable. Um, One thing that I think helped get some people to just take the exam and just go out and actually get their certification was as we were going through the process and saying, hey, you have X amount of time. Here's your deadline to essentially get your certification. Oh, by the way, first 5 or 6 individuals that get it will be considered to go to our TSAC conference that we attended in August 25 over in San Antonio. So I think that little dangling carrot might have helped out. Firefighters really enjoy incentives, don't they?
And the incentives don't need to even be very good. They will do a lot of sketchy shit for a t-shirt.
Or a sticker.
Or a sticker, right? Although most people, Manny, I do not call them slaps, but most people I know, especially in the military, call them slaps. Have you been indoctrinated into that term?
I have not. Please enlighten me.
Yeah, just it's not a sticker, it's a slap. Can I have one of your slaps? And I'm like, what? Excuse, please? Yeah. Weird. Okay.
Also want to add that I think just picking the right individuals to start off with is what helped.
Tell me your criteria.
That might be, yeah. Well, I think I might have already highlighted it. The main criteria was, if you're somebody with a background in exercise science
okay,
or fitness, that's kind of the underlying piece. We want them to hold the rank of firefighter. The preferred criteria was, do you have a degree in exercise science or kinesiology? And then do you have working experience as a fitness coach? So I think those elements really helped. And what might have also helped was we didn't necessarily, so we didn't provide overtime for the course. And we stated that in the memo saying, like, if you're, no, overtime is not going to be provided for you to go through this training. So, obviously be aware of that. But if, you're somebody who wants to be a part of this, obviously put your name in the hat and we'll select the best amount of individuals that we can. But I think that just little element helps, right? Because now you at least knock out the individuals that are probably just going to sign up just because they're going to learn a little bit, if anything at all, and they're just going to get paid overtime for, a 4 or 5 day course, however long the course is set up to be.
I like that. I do have a question though. Did the department cover their time if they were on duty, or did they have to get a trade or whatever?
Yeah, so a couple of things we covered. One was the cost of the course. And so that also included the certification and meals provided, all that stuff. And then the other thing we did was we assisted with their trades if they were on shift. For us, it was called an admin trade, where they can select 3 or 4 shifts that they would want to work in lieu of their regularly assigned shift, and then we would accommodate that.
Cool option. I like that. What's next for you in that program? You kind of have the groundwork. What is your next big mountain you want to climb?
If we want to talk about the tip of the mountain, then I guess the big goal for 2026 is to establish a annual fitness assessment for the department. As it stands now, Seattle Fire does not have any form of a fitness assessment that firefighters need to do on an annual basis. I'm not sure that Seattle Fire has ever had that. The only fitness assessment there is CPAT, which is for candidates coming through that hiring pipeline. But after that, there is no there's no fitness requirement essentially.
Are you hoping to make that a mandatory assessment or make it an opt-in initially and move on to mandatory? What are you thinking?
I think we're just going to go where uh, the direction of the firefighters take us. I guess personally, I love it to be a mandatory, like non-punitive. But ultimately, I think what might fly at Seattle Fire would be a not mandatory, not punitive, incentive-driven fitness assessment. Um, but I guess we'll just see what plays out. But we just want the assessment overall to really be more of a resource in like an evaluation. It'd be nice for firefighters to go through that and just see where they're at and how they hold up in certain aspects. You know, if body composition is part of the assessment, you know, like where you fit there, and what can be worked on. And then, you know, you get into strength, you get into VO2 max, those types of assessments. And there's just maybe, I don't know if there needs to be a benchmark they need to hit, but maybe there's just like these, if you're in this category, this is what this means. If you're in that category, this is what that means. And then all that to lead into, here is a resource for you to utilize that helps support your fitness journey. And that would be, you know, some of the strength coaches that we have in the cadre, or that program as a whole to help support that. So that way, throughout the year, we're just supporting, obviously being healthy, but also being able to perform from a occupational performance standpoint.
I sometimes think we forget about the value of semi-routine just screenings. So a few years ago, I went to a new dentist and I thought it was just wacky as hell. This dentist took my blood pressure. I'm like, why in the hell is the dentist taking the blood pressure? But if you're someone that doesn't get periodic screenings, you could go years without knowing that you have pathologically high blood pressure. I didn't, by the way, but I just think anytime you can get some sort of a health screening, it's a good deal. It's a good thing, especially within the fire service. I like it, Manny. It's cool.
So that'd be the tip. I guess the underlying part is just, or I guess the base amount is just the resources that are provided. So again, I think the big body of work for the coaches is to be a subject matter expert out in the field. They're the force multipliers. They're the ones starting the conversations. And in fact, one of the things we talked about that could help with that is when they're at roll call for their specific shift, or really any station they're working at, maybe they get a 5-minute segment and we're calling them snackables. So the 5-minute segment where they're at roll call and they just highlight, this is what I read in the article. So here's the information. This is why it's important to you. And this is why it's important for firefighters. And then if a conversation sparks out of that, you know, let that happen. And so I think that also pairs well with the continuing education component of the program, where, you know, they're reading a few articles a month, or learning something new from a video or a presentation, and they're just taking it back to the station, whatever it is, right? And so what they could do with that is maybe for a full month, just focus on one specific topic and break into subcategories. So obviously sleep can be one. And then subcategories can be just sleep and blood pressure, sleep and I don't know, recovery from strength training, sleep and depression. You know, they can obviously branch out however they want to, and then just constantly add fuel to the conversation of why sleep is important. And hopefully that influences a few behaviors for the individual firefighter. Obviously, we have no way of measuring that. It's also putting the ball in the firefighter's court again. So, you know, they obviously need to do some of the things that that are being highlighted in these conversations to really get the outcomes that we want to see in their health.
Sleep is my second favorite topic to talk about. Creatine is my first favorite. Manny, is there anything else that we should dive into for your second big episode after telling me no for 3 years? This is 2 episodes within short amount of time. Anything else we should talk about? Otherwise, I have one more thing.
Well, maybe we can add this to the beginning portion when we're talking about the fitness program. Maybe it's worthwhile just to highlight the intent and just the mission. We already did the requirements. Overall, the program intent is just to really align with NFPA 1582, 1583, and also the Wellness Fitness Initiative. If I haven't highlighted this already, Seattle Fire is actually a task force city for Wellness Fitness Initiative. It's been the case for quite some time. So we definitely want to have a program where people can look at as a lighthouse, I guess, or something to kind of resemble, or at least take all of our lessons learned and figure out what's going to work for them. For the most part, again, that program mission is to really foster a sustainable culture of health, performance, and operational readiness. And I think we're going to do that with just being an evidence-based program, highlighting the continuing education component, and the fact that they're going to be force multipliers out in the field. I told you about the requirements. One of the things we also highlighted in some of our initial meetings was just like some shared values. We're not going to go to the beanery and talk about, a specific member who, maybe isn't as fit or as strong as they should be. Like all that stuff should remain private or just between the coach and the member themselves. We want to be very respectful of their fitness journeys and non-judgmental. If we did do any of that, obviously the firefighters wouldn't really raise their hand and ask for help. Not to continue harping on it, but again, we'll heavily prioritize just being evidence-based or as much as possible, like, pulling what's out in research and letting that kind of influence some of the information we provide. And then ultimately that the cadre members themselves, they have a responsibility to the program. So one of the things I highlighted to them was that I'm pretty much giving them the keys to the car, where they are going to be really impactful on how successful the program is going to be. And with all that, we highlighted their scope of practice, the things that they can and can't do, right? And those are kind of things that are highlighted in the TSAC certification themselves. I think I already covered incentives as well. I guess another layer of the program we want to get into at some point is just bringing on like some projects. So one project could be, we develop a lot of department level trainings that we can, push out through either Target Solutions or like have a centralized location where we can do some off-duty training. And that can highlight maybe like weightlifting 101, lower body, upper body, all that type of stuff. Another big project we want to take on for 2026 is doing monthly training. And so this would also be used with or be paired with Target Solutions. And the format I have in my mind right now is we take an occupational skill, maybe break down like muscle groups involved, potential for injury, energy systems involved, all that stuff. And then go into, here's some exercises that can be done that helps improve the specific skill. An example of that would be some of our nozzle forward techniques that we use on the engine side. High demand for mobility, right? So we can highlight the skill. These are the muscle groups involved. Here's the mobility factor that, is being tapped into. And then we're going to highlight exercises that help improve the mobility to do this skill very efficiently.
Genius.
So we'll see how that plays out. And then, I think a big element of the program that's going to help us a lot is that we're not going to be really set in our ways. We'll definitely have the opportunity to course correct when that needs to happen. Because overall, we want something that's going to stick and be used at Seattle Fire, and then that's also going to make an impact on our operations members, but also just the culture.
And I would argue on the industry as a whole, you're a pace setter, if you will, in the industry.
Yeah, and I guess that would be the unintended impact or the secondary outcome, right? And hopefully that is the case.
Amen, brother. Here's my very important question. It's only been hasn't even been a month since we spoke, and this is going to drop in a couple weeks. So my very important question is, in that small interim of time, did you manage to get a dog?
No, we didn't.
Damn, Manny. Crap. All right. I'm just going to keep asking. I'll keep asking.
No, please do. One of these days, I'm gonna put a smile on your face.
You're going to surprise me with a yes. Yeah, you're going to surprise me with a yes. Well, this has been another fantastic conversation. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your time. I'll put your contact information in the show notes again. And with that, I think we can drop the mic. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right. Happy Friday, Manny Romero. Thanks for your time. And listeners, thanks for listening. Have a great day.